Hi, I'm Valerie from Canoia Garden Center. I'm going to tell you about winterizing your gardens. We're going to start off with making sure that you have the proper tools when you go out to do any kind of pruning or cleanup. You want to make sure that you've got bypass pruners, and by bypass, you want the blades to go by each other just like a pair of scissors. When you start to winterize your garden, the first thing you need to do is prune certain plants. You don't need to prune all of them. The rule of thumb when winterizing your garden is you only need to cut down certain plants. Things like your bleeding hearts and your columbine. The rule of thumb is leaves of green should be seen, leaves of brown, cut them down. Black and white is an ugly sight. Make it right and clean them out. All right, and just cut them all the way to the ground. Make sure that you get all the debris out of the garden. They can be carrying various funguses, molds, mildews, and you don't want them to contaminate your plants for the next year. The rest of your garden, the majority does not need to be cut down. However, there are those who like to have a pristine garden where they don't have stuff standing over the winter. Me personally, I like to be able to see something besides snow. But if you're one of those that needs to cut them down, it's very simple to do. Your daylilies, gather them up, almost like a ponytail. Cut them just like that. Once again, get rid of the debris. Hostas. Hostas can be left over the winter. Their leaves will melt to the ground. Next year, it's a whole lot easier to go out with a wire rake and just rake them out, or leave them be to compost and feed the plant. But once again, if you find it necessary, just that simple. Salvia is another one. Salvia is one that I do actually recommend cutting down. Otherwise, they have a tendency to spread into areas that you really don't like. Gather them up into a ponytail. Cut them as close to the ground as you can. And get rid of the debris. Your trees and shrubs, you should go out, take a look at them, see if there's any dead or broken branches, and get those cleaned out. If you have dead branches in your trees, they call that a widowmaker. If you have a high wind or you have heavy snowfall, those branches can come down, damage your home, damage you, damage your pets. So make sure you get the dead branches out of there. Most of your trees and shrubs should wait until spring to be pruned. There are some shrubs that you want to wait until after they bloom in the spring before you prune them. That's going to be things like your lilacs, your forsythia, your weigela, and then you just want to prune them to shape. That's it. Make sure we are 12 to 13 inches below normal for our water this year. Make sure you water everything in good and solid. Your plants are going to be out over the winter exposed to the wind, the rain, the cold. They cannot rehydrate themselves. You have to hydrate them. So get out there before the ground freezes and water them. If you're out over the winter and you can see grass, no matter what color it is, and we have not had snow or rain, get some water out to them in the dead of winter. It may mean hauling out a bucket of water. You really don't want to hook your hoses back up and have to drain them again. So haul out a bucket of water and give your plants some water. If you have evergreens like boxwoods, you need to treat them with wilt proof when the temperature is above 45 degrees. Spray them down from top to bottom. That'll keep them from getting dehydrated so bad. Anything like Asiatic lilies or your Japanese lilies, the really tall ones, those girls need to be cut down at this point in time. Make sure you get the stalk all the way down to the ground. They have a tendency to act like a straw, so that when it rains or snows, the water's going to go right down that straw to the root and you can develop root rot. All of your plants at this point in time should be mulched in. It's usually recommended no more than 2 inches, so to the first joint on your finger, that's all the deeper you need to go with your mulch. Make sure that everything gets mulched and mulched well. Roses should not be pruned at this point in time. Wait until they put on their rose hips, which is going to be a little red ball, and you can just snap those off, but wait until May before you prune your roses. Anytime you prune, you're promoting new growth. New growth going into a freeze, thaw will create an aneurysm in the plant and actually blow it apart. So if you want your roses to survive, please don't prune them right now. Fertilizers are not necessary at this time of the year. Everybody's going to sleep. All right, you don't want to feed your babies before they go to sleep. It'll give them a bellyache. Once again, it's going to promote new growth. You don't want new growth over the winter. Other than that, you're basically set. Go inside, sit down, drink a cup of coffee, cup of cocoa, glass of wine, drink a beer. It's time for lazy man gardening. Sit back, relax, and plot plan scheme for next year. If you walk through your garden and you notice places that need some fall color, you can definitely do some planting now. There are several different plants that will give you color in the fall, like the burning bushes, the little Henryias, the Henry's garnet. A lot of your hydrangeas will give you color over the fall. If you can dig a hole, you can plant. The only thing we do not recommend planting at this point in time is an evergreen. They have to maintain those needles over the winter. So they are not going to have a chance to get their roots settled in before we have the cold spell. Other than that, sit back, relax, and plan for next spring. Thank you.